When a woman begins to compromise her standards for the sake of attention, especially in a relationship with a younger man, what she's really doing is whispering to her soul, "You're not worthy of more." And that is a deep wound in disguise. You see, standards are not walls meant to keep love out. They are sacred boundaries meant to keep your peace in. A woman who has walked through fire, who has risen from heartbreak, who has built herself again and again, she doesn't create her standards from ego. She creates them from experience, from wisdom, from self-respect. But the moment she starts adjusting those standards, whether it's letting things slide that once hurt her, accepting less presence, less honesty, less effort, just to keep a younger man engaged, she begins to lose sight of the very truth that makes her magnetic. A woman becomes powerful not when she is desired, but when she knows she is desirable, with or without anyone's approval. The younger man might be charming, spontaneous, full of energy, but energy without maturity can lead you into cycles you've already outgrown. So when you begin to bend your truth for his convenience, you are not loving him, you are abandoning yourself. What many older women don't realize is how deeply valuable their discernment is. You don't just want love anymore, you want alignment. You're not impressed by words without action or attention without intention. So why begin to entertain behaviors that would have broken your heart in your 20s just because someone younger is giving you attention now? That's not empowerment. That's a momentary high that often comes with long-term confusion. There's nothing wrong with dating younger men. But what's wrong is betraying your values to make him stay. Because here's the truth. When you shrink your expectations to fit into someone else's immaturity, you teach him how to devalue you. You show him that your heart is negotiable, that your peace is up for sale, and no man, no matter his age, should have that kind of access to your soul if he hasn't earned it. You have to remember who you are. You are a woman who has learned to sit in her silence without feeling empty. You've healed wounds that would have destroyed someone else. You've navigated grief, betrayal, disappointment, and still chosen to love. That kind of strength should not be bending for someone who can't see past their own reflection. A younger man, if he's truly ready, will rise to meet you. He won't be intimidated by your power. He'll be inspired by it. He won't see your standards as a challenge to conquer, but as an invitation to grow. But if you have to keep lowering yourself, second-guessing your worth, or asking for bare minimum effort, that's not a relationship. That's emotional labor disguised as love. The world will tell older women to be grateful for attention. I say, be grateful for your growth. Be proud of the woman you've become. Know that the right man, younger or not, will not require you to trade your standards for his affection. He will meet you with honor, with depth, with consistency, and if he can't, you let him go. Not because you're bitter, but because you're better. You're better than the games, better than the pretending, better than needing to be chosen when you've already chosen yourself. You don't need to be less so someone else can feel like more. Stand in your truth, speak from your soul, and let your standards shine like the crown they are. The right man will see it and rise. Let that be the love you wait for. There's a dangerous line many older women cross when they fall for a younger man, the shift from partner to parent. It doesn't happen all at once. It starts subtly with small compromises, with helping him get his life together, with giving advice instead of sharing experiences, with emotionally rescuing instead of emotionally relating. Before you know it, you're not in a relationship, you're in a role, and that role is mothering a man who was supposed to be standing beside you, not beneath your wing. Now hear me clearly. Loving someone doesn't mean raising them. And when you mother a man, especially a younger one, you take on a responsibility that robs both of you of growth. He doesn't become who he's meant to be because he's leaning on you to be his emotional anchor. And you don't stay in your divine feminine because you've stepped into fixing, guiding, correcting, and sacrificing. That's not love. That's emotional labor. What makes this even more complicated is that many older women are natural nurturers. You've been the glue. You've held families, households, careers, all of it together. So when a younger man shows up in your life, charismatic, spontaneous, maybe even wounded, there's a strong temptation to be his safe space, to pour into him, to teach him, to show him a better path. But here's the spiritual truth. You are not his teacher unless he's your student, and you didn't come into this life to raise your partner. You deserve someone who brings balance, not someone who brings burden. If every conversation becomes a counseling session, if every mistake is excused because he's still learning, if your energy is constantly managing his, that's not a relationship. That's a one-way transaction. And that imbalance will drain you, slowly, quietly, deeply. A younger man who is ready for an older woman won't need to be mothered. He'll already be walking in his purpose. He'll value her wisdom, but he won't need her to rescue him from his own immaturity. He'll know that her strength is a mirror, not a crutch, something to be reflected, not leaned on until it bends. Because true masculinity, regardless of age, doesn't ask you to sacrifice your soul for someone else's potential. It meets you with presence, accountability, and clarity. The most dangerous thing about mothering a man is that it creates a false sense of intimacy. You feel close to him because he's relying on you, but that's not intimacy, that's dependency. And when a man is dependent on you like a child is on a parent, it's only a matter of time before the romance dies and resentment grows. You'll begin to feel used, even if he never meant to use you. And he'll begin to feel suffocated, even if all you did was help. This is why it's essential to protect your feminine energy. When you constantly step into the role of the fixer, you abandon your own needs. You stop receiving. You stop being held. And instead, you carry someone who was never meant to be your load. You weren't created to be his savior. You were created to be his partner, his equal, his complement. It's okay to love deeply. It's okay to nurture. But it's not okay to mother a man and then wonder why you feel emotionally exhausted and spiritually unfulfilled. You are not here to raise someone else's son. You are here to rise in your truth and to be met by someone who can rise with you. Let the younger man grow into his own. Let him learn on his own terms. If he wants to be in your life, he will step up, not as a boy in need of raising, but as a man ready to honor, protect, and respect the powerful woman you are. And if he can't do that, let him go, not in anger, but in love for yourself. There is something sacred about owning who you are fully and unapologetically. Yet so many older women begin to shrink themselves the moment a younger man enters the picture. They start to dim their light, hide their age, silence their truth, soften their success, all to make him feel more comfortable, and in doing so, they betray the very power that makes them extraordinary. You must understand your age is not a flaw to hide, it is your glory. Every year you've lived carries with it a lesson. Every wrinkle, a story. Every scar, a survival. You are not less worthy of love because you've lived longer. You are more worthy because you've lived deeper. And yet there's a false narrative that says to love a younger man, you must become more like him, more playful, more naive, more passive. But the truth is, if you have to become less of yourself to keep someone close, you've already lost the most important connection of all, the one with yourself. Let's be clear. Hiding your age won't make you younger. It will just make you invisible to the kind of love you truly, the kind of love that doesn't flinch at your past, the kind of love that doesn't shrink from your wisdom, the kind of love that doesn't require you to pretend in order to feel adored. That love is not intimidated by your power, it's drawn to it. Too often, women think that to hold on to a younger man, they must suppress their truth, pretend they don't want commitment, act like they're okay with immaturity, smile through the emotional distance, laugh off the disrespect. But that silence is loud in your soul. Every time you hold your tongue when you want to speak, every time you say I'm fine when you're not, every time you let something slide that you know you shouldn't, you erode your spirit piece by piece. And what are you really teaching him in that process? That your voice is negotiable, that your experience is an inconvenience, that your truth isn't worthy of space. You teach him how to treat you by what you allow, And when you hide your essence to accommodate his ego, you train him to love a version of you that doesn't actually exist. If a younger man is meant for you, he will not ask you to be less. He will not wince at your past or feel threatened by your power. He will want to learn from your experiences, not avoid them. He will celebrate your depth, not fear it. And he will see your age not as a liability, but as a rare and radiant strength. So don't hide. Don't play small. Don't water yourself down. You are not meant to be a shadow just because he's still trying to find his light. Be bold about your boundaries. Be loud with your wisdom. Be proud of your past. Stand in the truth that you have lived, you have loved, you have lost, and you are still here, more whole than you've ever been. The most magnetic thing about a woman is not her youth, it is her self-possession. Her ability to walk into a room and know that she belongs. Her refusal to apologize for her fullness. That is what makes a man rise to the occasion. Not how much you hide, but how much you shine. So no, don't erase yourself for the sake of someone's attraction. The man who is meant for you will never ask you to shrink. He will only ask you to keep showing up real, raw, radiant, exactly as you are. Because the right love doesn't require performance, it honors presence. There is a deep mistake many older women make when they enter a relationship with a younger man. They start to believe they need to compete. Compete with younger women. Compete with modern trends. Compete with his world, his tempo, his expectations. And in this silent, painful battle, they begin to lose themselves. But let me tell you something powerful. You were never meant to compete. You were meant to command. You were meant to embody. You were meant to radiate a presence so full and grounded that no comparison could touch it. You see, the moment you start measuring your worth through the lens of who else might be in his view, you've already abandoned your own gaze. A woman who knows who she is doesn't ask, "Am I enough compared to them?" She already knows, "I am enough because I am me." And that truth is not age dependent. That truth is soul deep. It's not about the smoothness of your skin. It's about the softness of your spirit. Not about keeping up with his social pace, but standing firm in your inner peace. Older women often feel like they need to adjust their personality to keep a younger man's attention. Laugh a little louder, flirt a little more, act a little less serious, as if maturity is something to apologize for. But when you strip yourself of authenticity just to be desired, you don't win his heart, you rent his attention. And rented attention is always temporary. This kind of performance creates anxiety. You begin to wonder constantly, is this enough? Am I doing too much? You start reading his moods like weather patterns, predicting what to say and how to say it so he doesn't pull away. But that's not love. That's survival. That's insecurity playing dress up as romance. The truth is, a secure, emotionally available man, no matter his age, is not looking for a performance. He's not looking to be impressed. He's looking to be seen, to be known. And ironically, it's your groundedness, your wisdom, your stillness that brings him that, not your ability to pretend you're 25 again. The moment you believe you must compete with the world around you, you betray the wisdom inside you, and the younger man, if he's not yet wise himself, will begin to take cues from your insecurity rather than your integrity. Never forget, competition is rooted in fear. But confidence is rooted in truth. The woman who radiates confidence doesn't try to outshine anyone. She simply shines. She doesn't fear being left behind. She knows she is the destination. When you drop the need to compete, you make space for a man to see the real you. Not the curated version. Not the cool older woman trope. The real, sacred, seasoned you. And let's talk about younger women for a moment, the ones you may feel tempted to compare yourself with. There is no competition, none, because they are in a completely different season of life. They are learning what you have already mastered. Their beauty is not your threat. Their youth is not your weakness. You are not behind them, you are beyond them. Not better, not worse, just at a different depth. That depth is what gives you your value in a relationship. It's what makes your presence feel like peace. It's what makes your words linger in a man's heart long after you've left the room. So never trade that depth for temporary validation. Don't chase his attention by becoming someone else. Let your authenticity be the standard. Let your energy be the filter. Let your essence be the thing that decides who gets to stay. You don't need to fight to keep your place in his life. If it's your place, you'll stand in it with ease. And if it's not, you'll walk away without apology. Because real power doesn't compete, it chooses. And you, my sister, are the chooser. When an older woman begins to financially support a younger man in the name of love, what often gets overlooked is the energetic cost. Yes, money might leave your hands, but something deeper, your emotional balance, your sense of equality, your inner peace begins to drift as well. And too often women confuse nurturing with rescuing, caretaking with connection, generosity with sacrifice. But there is a difference between loving someone and carrying them. It's beautiful to be supportive, to give from a place of abundance. But when the giving becomes one-sided, when the support turns into dependency, when your resources begin to cover his responsibilities, that's no longer a partnership. That's a burden. And burdens are heavy, especially when you've already walked through life carrying your own. Sometimes older women pour into younger men with money gifts or opportunities, hoping that it will anchor him, keep him close, inspire him to rise, help him see her worth. But a man who only stays because you're paying for his presence is not a partner, he's a passenger. And sooner or later, he'll be looking for the next ride. Because anyone who is with you because of what you provide will eventually look elsewhere when the supply changes. You have to ask yourself, what am I trying to prove with my giving? Am I hoping that he will finally see my value, that he'll stop looking at younger women because I make life easier for him? Am I using money as a substitute for the emotional investment he's not offering? Because if the financial support is not matched with emotional presence, accountability, and mutual care, you're not in a relationship, you're in a transaction. Money should never be the glue that holds two people together. If he cannot meet you emotionally, spiritually, or even in effort, it won't matter how many vacations you fund or bills you cover, the connection will remain imbalanced, and that imbalance grows roots. It seeps into your communication. You begin to resent him for not contributing. You begin to doubt yourself for allowing it. You feel unappreciated, unseen, even used, but by then you've convinced yourself you've invested too much to walk away. Let me be clear, giving is not wrong. Being generous is not a weakness, but giving in the hopes that someone will love you more, stay longer, or treat you better, that's a setup for disappointment. A man worth keeping will never let you carry everything. He may not have your resources, but he will have effort. He may not earn what you earn, but he'll contribute in ways that feel meaningful, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. He will not let you fund the relationship while he relaxes into your labor. Some younger men may unconsciously fall into this dynamic because they haven't yet matured into financial independence. But it is not your job to mother him into manhood. You are not here to fix him. You are not here to raise him. You are here to be met as a partner, as an equal, as a woman whose love does not come with an invoice. And if he resents your success, if he becomes passive in the face of your giving, if he begins to expect what should be appreciated, then it's time to reevaluate. Because a man who is truly in your life for the right reasons will bring presence even if he can't bring money. He will show up with integrity. He will uplift, not drain. He will add peace, not take comfort. Your value was never meant to be measured in what you give. Your worth is not tied to what you provide. You are already enough without being anyone's financial plan. Love should never cost you your self-respect. And the love that honors you, it won't require payment, only presence. One of the greatest mistakes an older woman can make when involved with a younger man is forgetting that her love is a privilege, not a project. Somewhere along the way, you may begin to feel like you need to prove something, prove that you're not too old, Prove that you're still exciting. Prove that you're worth staying for. And in trying to prove, you begin to overextend, overgive, and overstay in a space where your value was already unquestionable. Your love is not a task to complete. It is not a puzzle he needs time to figure out. You are not an assignment. You are not his therapist. You are not his mother. You are a woman, full, complete, radiant, and your presence in someone's life should feel like an elevation, not a lesson. When you forget this, you start turning love into labor. You start believing it's your job to bring him up to speed emotionally, to guide him through manhood, to fix his broken ways of loving. But healing is not your responsibility, especially when it costs you your peace. You may find yourself offering chances over and over again, convincing yourself that if you just love him harder, he'll become the man you see potential in. But let's be clear, potential is not partnership. And just because someone has the capacity to grow doesn't mean they will. The love you give is sacred. It's not a reward for effort. It's a reflection of your own soul's maturity. And if he doesn't honor that love, you're not obligated to keep offering it. Older women often fall into the trap of trying to build a younger man, emotionally, financially, even spiritually. But in doing so, you stop asking the most important question. Is he building me too? Is he pouring back? Is he reflecting the same energy, the same devotion, the same level of intentionality? Because if you're constantly the one pushing the relationship forward, constantly the one initiating growth, conversation, and connection, then you're not in love. You're in labor. This happens subtly. At first, it feels like you're helping, you're teaching, you're showing him how to love better, how to show up. But soon, you begin carrying the emotional weight of the entire relationship. You start making excuses for his immaturity. You rationalize his silence. You accept his inconsistency. And before you know it, you're tired. Not because love is exhausting, but because this version of love is. You are not here to mold a man into who you want him to be. You are here to align with someone who's already done the inner work or is actively doing it without your prompting. You don't need to earn his love by proving your worth. You don't need to train him, chase him, or convince him that you deserve respect. The right man already knows your love is a blessing and he'll treat it like one. If you find yourself constantly having to explain basic respect, emotional intelligence, or commitment, that's not chemistry, that's misalignment. And if you stay hoping he'll get it one day, you might wake up years later wondering why you feel more like a coach than a queen. Your time, your love, your softness, these are not rewards for potential. They are to be honored by presence, not promises. A man who truly values you won't need reminders. He'll recognize from the beginning that being with a woman like you is not about games, not about ego, not about domination. It's about alignment. And alignment means meeting each other in wholeness, not obligation. So the next time you're tempted to stay just because you see something in him, ask yourself, is he seeing everything in me? Because when a man is truly obsessed with you, not in lust, not in fantasy, but in love, it's not because you built him. It's because you embodied your truth so fully that he had no choice but to rise and meet it. And if he won't rise, then you don't need to shrink. You need to release. Because love is not about building projects. It's about building peace.